Are you 0? Are you 4? Which one? Okay. Are you ready? We go to section 2. I have 4 sections. So this is the first section. So I'm sorry, I have to do this, but you may be able to guess what it is. Section 2. You can see a lot of these words more are clustered together. How much would you check off that people say you're very precise? I'm not precise. That's why you saw earlier, my previous degrees was in biophysics, and then I was in engineering, chemical engineering. And to be an engineer, you have to be very precise. I like the math, but I was not a good engineer. So I decided I can't be it, because you have to be very precise, okay? Deliberate. You think through things. Economical. You don't waste. Analytical. When you say you're very analytical. Are you practical? Are you very comfortable going over all the details? Are you questioning many things? Are you objective? Are you informative? Do you have a lot of information? When people say, yeah, if I need to, I come to you, because you're always informative. You know all the facts. Are you authoritative? People like to come to you, too. Maybe your friends will say, you're very authoritative, because if we really want to know exactly what's going on, I come talk to you. So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you need to count how many of these you would say is you in section 2. Okay. Okay, with this? Ready? I'll go to number 3. How many people would say this describes you? Your friends, would they say you're trusting? You're a very trusting person. You're very supportive. You're also responsive. Do you responsive? When people say right away, you get back to them. You respond right away. Would people say you're helpful? If they describe you as a helpful person. Are you receptive? Receptive means, you're willing to listen, or you're receptive to what people come to you for help or things. Are you encouraging? When people say you're a person that tries to encourage, say, yes, you should do that. It's a good idea. Are you empathetic? People say empathy means you can understand the emotions of other people. Empathy. Are you a very good person sharing? Are you relaxed? You're calming when people come to talk to you. Do you know friends are like that? Do you have any friends who are calming? You go to them. Do you have friends, or you are warm? They will describe you as warm. So again, how many of these in number 3 section fits you? Again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or if you're all 10 of those, you must be a very nice person, right? So you're real friendly and warm and trusting, and you help to encourage people, right? Maybe you like to be known like that. I told my daughter today, she's with me here in Macau, I said, that's not you. You have to work on this, okay? But because she looks at me, what do you mean? I said, no, you should smile. You have to smile. Okay, the last section, number 4. How many of these words describe you? You're enthusiastic. You're creative. And now, if you're creative, you probably would say that people would also call you very imaginative. And then you're persuasive. You can persuade people things. And very dynamic. Lots of action. And you can adapt. Are you adaptable? How easy can you change? Are you animated? Animation, like cartoon, but not crazy animated. Just good. Lots of action. I'm kind of animated. I'm not super animated. You see animated, right? I'm kind of moving like this. Some other people just sit like this and talk. That's not animated. Okay. So you have to be more animated. Are you more experimental? I don't know about this. This is crazy. Sparky. Like electric spark. Okay. Are you inspired? So again, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so some of you I saw here in the audience have been counting. Most of you don't, but that's okay. But some of you have. So now the question is, how many did you count? Now you should look at the 4 sections and tell me, just look and say, which of the two out of the 4, you have the most. Is it section 1 and 3? Is it number 2? Which one did you have the highest counts? Which 2 sections do you have the highest count? Now we're going to look at it. So just so you know what the 4 sections are, or as we go, one of the sections is your emotional quotient. Are you good at understanding your own and other people's feelings? Are you good at listening? Are you open and empathetic? Are you good at sharing feelings? Are you good at appreciating other people? If that's what one of the section is working towards. We're trying to find out whether you are good with your emotional, not your IQ, your EQ, your emotional quotient. The other one is your SQ. This is the degree in which you have your self-confidence and your self-understanding. How good are you already in terms of understanding your life and your purpose, your roles, your goals, your contribution? How good are you at thinking about your value and place in the world? How you can personally grow and develop? Do you spend time? So how is your SQ? Your self-understanding quotient. See, the point is, you know where we're going. Nobody is good at everyone. We vary. Number 3, how good are your PQ? PQ, your political quotient, politics. Are you good at understanding the power basis? Are you good at understanding where all the sources of power is, where you work? Even in your friends. Do you recognize the levers of influence? Levers of influence is how do you actually make change politically? Are you good at developing strategies for influence? Are you good at gaining the buy-in from the key stakeholders, the people that are very interested in the area you're trying to make some change, and you know you're good at trying to get them to agree with what you need to do? Do you have the skills to know where the power is, understand where people are, and understand how to get them to agree with you for whatever you need to make change? That's the PQ. I think many professors are not good at PQ. They're very good on their research, but they're not very good at understanding how to persuade other people. And the last part is the BQ. B is business, right? How good is your business quotient? Are you good as administrative? Do you have good administrative expertise and experience? Do you think ahead strategically when it comes to the department or the business or whatever you're working on? Are you able to listen to anticipate demands? You know something's coming soon and you're ready for it. Are you able to plan to meet the demands? Are you developing demand-driven offerings and solutions? Are you taking opportunities to improve services? And when we think about it, I put some asterisks here. Listening, anticipating demands, planning to meet demands. From who? It could be from the students. It could be from faculty. It could be other people, staff, administrative staff. So are you good at knowing the chance in the future that there's going to be these demands? That's the business quotient. I guess many of us don't want to do that. That's why we end up being professors. We don't actually want to work in business. But then some of us actually are good. That's why we get our degree anyway. But later on, we'll start our own business. So the key question is, are you good at that? Okay, so we start off by saying if your top 2 sections with the most counts that you checked off, in section 1, if section 1 is one of your top 2 sections with the most count, then we will say you're action-oriented personality, right? You're action-oriented. That means that you are more BQ and PQ. You're more business and more political than you are EQ and SQ. So if you have more counts on the first section, that's what that means. That means that you're imperative for act, but the downside is, and here's the part that could be weak, is that you're imperative for action. That means that you have a natural tendency for action. You want to do action. sometimes that can override. That gets in the way of concerns for other individuals, or can block out your wider, longer-term reflection and thinking about your inner sense for purpose. So everything could be positive, but it can also be a negative. So again, summarizing, if you have most of your count is in section 1, that's one of your top 2. That's a good thing because you're action-oriented. But you also realize that even though you like action, sometimes if you're very strong in that, you might ignore other people, and you might not spend as much time to reflect and think about the longer for yourself, your inner sense, your inner purpose. If one of your top 2 sections is section 2, that means you're more order-oriented. You like everything in order. That means your more BQ and PQ are higher than your EQ and SQ also. So it's sort of similar to section 1. So it says, but again, because you're very order-oriented, you have to be careful that you're not so rigid and that you don't want to change. And maybe you don't want to look at new information and change your mind. So when you get new information, you still say, I'm going to ignore it. So you got to watch out if you're too much in section 2. Now, if you're in section 3, obviously that means that you're more on the EQ-SQ side. So if you have more counts in section 3. And that we have to be careful, because sometimes your concern for people can dominate the need to take very objective, pragmatic decisions, or the action to win over power basis. So again, what it means is that you worry too much. In the United States, previous presidents would be somebody like Jimmy Carter. Those who remember, that's a long time ago. But that president worried too much, and he can't make the tough decision because he worried more about how the people were thinking and how it affects people. So if you worry too much about people, you realize that your weakness may be that you can't make that decision to do some action. And finally, number 4, if you have a lot of checks, one of your top 2 is in section 4, again, you're more SQ/EQ. And so you're more creative, but the creative approach will not always settle with the realities of work life, because you like to be more creative and may feel impatient with those who block fresh ideas. Is that you? In other words, when you're in meetings, or you talk with your fellow students, or you talk to other faculty, and you have lots of great ideas and stuff like that, and you get impatient, you get mad that we're not going to talk about new ideas to think about. And in fact, most of us who go into academic, it's more that. We like to be creative. We like our minds to come up with new things. But then it makes you very impatient, and that some of the people don't like it, that they don't like to talk, that they don't feel as excited as you are to be imagining and to talking and to brainstorm and talk about new ideas. And so it's possible. So where do we go with all that? Well, let's think about action orientation. So if you were the one where you were more action oriented, then how are you in the non-business side, but just general, non-work related? Would you describe yourself more like this? Then you would definitely be action, because usually people that score high on the earlier section on action, typically on the non-work related will be doing things like competitive sports. You like to work out in the gym, you do martial arts, you do wushu or other stuff, punching bags, physical, extreme sports. You like rock music. Okay, is that you? Okay. If your order, does that describe you on the non-work related? Do you like to clear clutter? That's not me. You should see my office. It's terrible. All kinds of stuff. But other people I know, they can't handle it. They have to fix and clean up everything. It just makes them crazy. Then you have to know which one you are. So if the section earlier doesn't help you, this will tell who you are. Okay? Do you like to plan action? Do you like to get... What kind of games? Do you like strategy game? Do you play chess, bridge? Do you like to just organize your wardrobe? Do you like to clean your, move your clothes around? Do you like to read? Do you like classical music? Okay. Then you know who you are. You're more order-oriented. Non-work related, if you're more nurturing, Maybe these are things you like to do. Do you like to relax? You walk in nature, go to a spa, have a good diet? Do you garden? Do you like to grow plants? Do you massage? You do Tai Chi and yoga? Do you like slow music? Is that you? And if you're creative, then maybe some of your hobbies is you like to paint, you like to dance, you sing, you do poetry, pottery, you do jazz music. You like to even do improvisation, you do plays, you do these sorts of stuff. You like spontaneity, improvisation, sort of things. So the reason I list that is that you can take a look at the action you normally have to try to get you in the mood in a professional level if you know where you are. So if you're not action-oriented, then you can compensate sometimes not on the work side, but also actually just do some physical thing that is more action-oriented because that gets your brain to start working in that same direction. So sometimes, for example, work-related, if you need to be more action-oriented, on a work-related activity, then you need to raise your energy level with walks when you feel stale. You need to identify what stops your acting. You've got to take steps to overcome the barriers. At the next meeting, you should decide straight away instead of defer. You should assess the impact. Outside work, maybe you want to take up some new interest that is more action-oriented. You will need to get yourself out of the comfort zone so that even when... So what I'm saying is that both work and outside, do something that doesn't fit so that you could just see how bad you are or how good you can be more action-oriented if you're not action-oriented. Or even think about somebody at work who you, in your mind, says, that guy is the most action-oriented. Much more than me. And then observe them and see what they're doing and see how they operate and learn from that person. So that's actually very key. Observe the other person. Order. This is what I need to do. My children laugh at me. I'm giving a talk here, and I don't do that. So I need to do that. So after this talk, I'm going to go back and do this. I have to keep a log. So I probably should do that. I don't want to do it. It just drives me crazy. But maybe I should. So I'm going to keep a log for the next couple of weeks to see what I'm doing. So I just mark at the end of the day, what time did I do? From I wake up, what did I do? What did I do? So I can see what I am. Analyze the results. Maybe I should tidy my work environment. Maybe I should clean my office. Maybe I should use project management. We teach project management. Maybe we start doing prioritization to do. So if you are not order-oriented, then I have to ask you, will you try? Will you try to actually do a to-do list? Actually use and start to try to figure out what you want to do. Let's see if you can improve yourself. Set targets. Nurture. Are you a nurturing? If you are not nurturing, if one of the two sections you did not, the bottom two is the nurturing side, then maybe you should practice listening. I realize that's my problem. My own personality is more extroverted. Introversion, extroversion. Extroversion, you like to talk a lot. If you talk so much, you have no time to listen to anybody. So I talk too much, so I have to stop talking so much. And I have to learn to listen to people. I have to go and see someone instead of calling, messaging, or tweeting. See somebody. No more email, tweeting and stuff. Actually just sit and talk to a person. If you have people working with you, your students, how often do you take your students for lunch or say thank you? Can you see any positive things of other people? We always look at people always negative. That person's stupid. That guy talks too much. I don't like this person. But can you try to see one positive thing, okay, about the person? And that's good because this makes your brain work a little different. And then do you hold reward and recognition? Do you ask individuals what support they need to do a better job? Do you actually find out? Every now and then, I do this. I actually do that because of my committees. I have to, currently as president of my faculty, I have 134 other professors that work for me. And I have to talk, so I have 9 different committees. They're in 9 different committees. So I do ask, and I try to really find out, hey, what is it that we can do to even make you do better? And then I want to see. I actually want to see what later on, if they tell me, that I want to try to help support them. And then also yourself. You have to nurture yourself. So to nurture yourself, you know what I mean, nurture yourself? How often do you actually say, okay, what shape am I in? How am I in good shape? How do you eat better? How do you become more healthy? Do you actually worry about yourself? So you have to learn to not only worry and nurture other people, you have to nurture yourself. We don't think about ourselves. And if you don't think about yourself, then you won't make it to retirement. You have to be, when you're retirement, you have to be healthy. You have to drink your good wine like me. You have to do whatever it is. But to reach there, you have to take care of yourself as well as other people, your family. And then the creative side. You want to find new ways to look at old problems and solutions. Creativity is one of the hardest things. So you have to break your familiar habits. You have to go to work a different way. You might want to decide to sit, instead of always be with the same professor friends you go, try to go and meet and talk to other people. You don't have to do it every day, but just maybe once a month. Just change the routine a little bit. Just change it a little bit. Or maybe read a book about a very creative entrepreneur. See what they did. And you always look for positives. And you say yes, and. So are you the type that says, yes, and I'm going to, instead of yes, but. Every time you say yes, but, you're looking for the negative. If you say yes, and, you're actually creative. You're actually working on how to say yes and do something about it. Brainstorm new changes. So, summarizing, if you imagine what I'm trying to get at right now is in order to make anything, you have to have an assessment of yourself. That's why I did the 4 sections, for you to get a sense of how you are. And to test yourself, you can do any of the ideas I have that is not you. So you know what the two sections you're both, so you know where your weak sections are. Then you want to change and do a little bit about the other ones to see how much. And then you can then start to look at each of their short, middle, and long-term goals. What are you going to do the next 2 years, the 3 to 5 years, and more than 6 years? And we use what we call is SMART. SMART. To be smart, S-M-A-R-T. S, you have to be specific on how you measure it. Measurable. It has to be achievable. It has to be something you can do. You can get there. It has to be relevant, means that is something that matters. And it has to fit the time. So for the short, the middle, and the long term. For each of those areas. So we end by looking at, so of course, not perfect, just wanted us to think about how to manage everything. And we